Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking another look at Aggro Blood. It's been about nearly 3 weeks I think since we played Aggro Blood on ladder. So I thought we'd just, take a look at it now and see how it's holding up against the other decks. Quick spoiler alert, still pretty good. I am pretty much running, I think, an identical deck list. I'm actually almost certain that this is identical. I don't think there's been any changes, but as always, the deck list will be in the description below. Now, there's only a few things to really mention with this deck at the moment. Snarling Chains. I personally still like Snarling Chains, especially in aggro variants and nearly all variants. That 1 damage to both leaders is just so good, and you don't really require it against many other things, so it's not bad. Otherwise, Hungering Horde, works perfectly well as well. You're going to get better matchups against Forest, which is quite popular, but it seems to be slowing down just a little bit in the last day or so since I doing this video. So Hungering Horde is an option, Snarling Chains is an option. They're probably the only two I'd really run in this 2-drop slot for the silver non-face damaging kind of spells, unlike Razor Claw, which is always a 3 of in aggro decks. A lot of people are very up in the air on whether Angel of Word or I think Lyrial Archer has good value, which one's better, sort of thing. I personally like Angel of Word, mainly because it fits your curve nicely and you've already got enough 2-drops, so why throw in another 2-drop that requires an evolve when you can just use Angel of Word on 3. Same principle with Angelic Knight, except this time you're only running 2, mainly for the ward and the extra boost, so this is a good way to protect your Urius after a follow up on 2. Also works quite nicely to stall out other aggro decks while you try and get your combo pieces or just pieces in general together. Other than that, I'm only running 2 Skeletons and 1 Implancer. The 2 Skeletons hurts a little bit, and I'm definitely considering maybe moving around some numbers here just so I can fit another one in. Maybe just drop 1 Cursed Bard Vampire just to fit in another Scarlet Saber. The only other thing, I'm running the 2 Spiderweb Imps instead of running 3, just because numbers, they don't work out very nicely. And of course the triple Carabosse, just because it is such a good card, and having it on 6 is almost always a good option. So other than that, we'll get right into some games and check it out. Okay, so game 1 we have Dragon as our matchup. Dragon is probably one of the most popular decks on the ladder right now, which I don't see that changing all month, so that will probably be mentioned in most videos for anyone who's new to watching these. But Ambling Wraith, Urius, Summon Bloodkin, pretty much a perfect hand. Summon Bloodkin is great on 2, Urius is great as well. Urius against Dragon though, not as good. Probably really pushing that Ambling and Summon Bloodkin is the better option, especially now that we've got Angel of Word. Filling that board and getting as much damage to the face before they can really bring out any big threats to me. Blazing Breath though, jeez, always the way to go. At least that means we do draw it out. It also means that Urius is going to be a slightly better option than Summon Bloodkin, just because we don't have as much pressure on the board. But that's not too bad. Does suck that I'm going to use her Razor here just to clear this Bane so we don't have to deal with it, and so it doesn't get any decent value against this Urius. But I do lose some good value myself, which is quite unfortunate. So I'm not so lucky, my curve for this hand really didn't play out the way I wanted. The only good part is that a 5 and 6 drop lineup is pretty much perfect, meaning I can actually play those off quite nicely, or I can use Angel of Word and Summon Bloodkin on 5 instead of Scarlet if I don't have any other options. So, since they didn't play anything, Angel of Word, double Summon Bloodkin, gives us a couple of bats which work out quite nicely. Getting that 7 damage to their face can pretty much guarantee us game from here. All we need to do is manage to get out this Carabosse and just ram as much damage to face as possible. That's provided they actually get the clear or set up a really solid defense. And this Grim here is just going to close it. Then playing this, all I gotta do is Carabosse, evolve, go face with everything we've got, and that'll be game. No trouble at all. Actually, I could easily just have game by ramming a bat and evolving, but the Carabosse is just so cool. May as well play it.
Okay, this one's all me. Want to know enduring beauty?
The next game is Rune, something we haven't seen quite as much of, not at least in the last week or so. They've been definitely a dying off craft at the moment. I mean, D-Shift is pretty much non-existent now, you don't see it anywhere near as much. Earth Rune just doesn't have the same impact it had before, especially with, you know, dragons and stuff running quite wild along with forest, making those matchups just a little tricky for Earth Rune in some cases. In particular, I just don't see Rune being that good, at least in this month. Not unless something major changes in the next, say, week or so, and some reason a deck just comes out of nowhere and surprises everyone, but the odds of that happening are probably pretty small. But we do have the Unicorn Dancer. That's not too shabby, I guess. We do have to ping it though, which is unfortunate, otherwise the healing is just going to dominate us. Being able to go face for the extra 2 though, quite valuable. So, total of 4 damage turn 3, with probably a huge push in the next turn or so. That Angel of Word really does well. I like it a lot better than the Lyrial, just because not having to evolve is so much better. So I can use my evolve on a lot more of my Storm followers, which is really good. Being able to get some nice damage. More than I would probably have liked, honestly. Putting them down to 9.
Okay, sure.
And having them completely concede, which is how Aggro Blood tends to play their games out. And our last game, Shadow. A deck that's been rising up a little bit in the last, say, week. I've been seeing it a lot more frequently. MidShadow seems to be coming back a little bit. Not too surprising, honestly. If you want to beat out Dragon, MidShadow is usually a pretty solid option. It also does quite well against several aggro decks. So Shadow's not that surprising to see start to come up in popularity. I still don't think it's right up there with Dragon and Forest, but definitely becoming more and more popular as things go on. So we get a really good start. Solid 1-drops. Pushing them really early. I honestly think this will be a really quick game. So we get to quite easily push the Blood Wolf here. There's no need to worry because, like I said, Lyrial Archer needs an evolve for it to have any decent value, which is why I prefer Archer over Lyrial, but, you know, they're still running it. Because we can just push face and roll them pretty much the entire game from here. I mean, they get the evolve next turn, but with this Ambling Wraith, is that really going to help them? Turn 4, Shadow doesn't really have much that could work on this board, especially in this way, so we can easily just keep pushing as much damage as we like right up until the end. There's no real reason to wait this out. Aggro doing what aggro does best. Go face, don't even worry about what they play. So even with another Lyrial, like, they're only going to get 2 clears. I'm still going to have another 4 damage on board, which is enough to put them to 5, and also enough for implants to close out the game next turn. More than enough, honestly. And Scarlet just for added, you know, added gameplay. There's really no issue with what I'm doing here. There's no way they're going to whittle me down. They're not really going to heal up. Even Asteris is going to pretty easily be killed. So at most they're going to be gaining 2 health, which will still be a really close game if they do play the Asteris, which they don't. So the Soul Squasher at least deals with the board. That's about all they've got. I mean, Implants is just going to come here and roll this game. So, like I said, bit of risk. Ceres could have easily stalled us out, but I think the Implants would have ended up allowing us to take the game pretty easily. Especially since Ceres would have taken up the entire turn. So as always, Blood going super quick. Gotta go fast. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do have a few last minute things to talk about. So, there is a... Let's see, I just need to take a quick look. There will be a tournament on, well, my Saturday, the 16th. So if you're in America, that'll be the Friday, just depending on time zone, of course. I will leave a link to that in the description below. That'll be with Bjorn, myself, and another Australian. We'll all be, you know, running this tournament for you guys. It's basically a sea-based tournament, so it's better for those time zones. At this stage, I don't believe we have any prizes organized, but there may be. It's a possibility. We just haven't really worked that part out. And it will be probably one of the first Shadow Nexus sea-based tournaments. So hopefully if you guys want to turn up, as I said, link will be in the description below so you can check that out. I'd really love to see you guys there and have a play around. So it'll just be some good old fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. As always, deck list in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.